Welcome to Reclaim Lumber Products. We're going to show you some tips today on installing the floor guide for our barn door track kits. They all come with the same floor guide. We have an option for a metal floor guide, but our nylon floor guide that's standard with the kit is better. It is 1 inch tall, 3/16 of an inch thick, and it has rounded corners. It's self-lubricating, so it glides real easily. We typically sell just one with the track kit, and if you have just one, then you need to cut a kerf in the bottom of your door that's 1/4 inch thick and about 9/16 of an inch deep if the door is 1/2 inch off the floor. That allows this 1 inch floor guide to just go right inside the track and have some clearance to slide freely. Generally the floor guide is centered underneath the door. If you don't want to cut this kerf in the bottom of the door, you can buy an extra floor guide and then you mount one on each side of the door, front and back. The problem with creating this system and mounting it on the front and the back of the door is you have to buy one extra floor guide. It doesn't seem to hold the door as well, it's not concealed, and you tend to mar up the faces of your door by them beating against this floor guide. Even though this nylon floor guide is smooth and doesn't damage the door as bad as metal ones, and it wears very well and it's indestructible, it's just less damage to the door potentially if you use the kerf system that we recommend. The floor guide just comes with a single floor guide and a pair of screws that go through the holes in the floor guide. The holes are elongated and allow a little bit of adjustability front to back, but you really need to plan ahead of time and try to get that floor guide centered under the door. And if you're going to cut the kerf in the bottom of the door, there's a number of ways to do it. You could do it with a saw, but the simplest way to do it is with a router, and any router that can run a standard bit. The ideal bit is a slot cutting bit that is 1/4 inch wide and cuts a 9/16 deep groove. It's this one. We've already cut the floor guide in here, but basically you center the bit on the thickness of the door and you run the router along there and it will cut this in one simple clean cut, and it works really well. Then you do that before the door is hung. You mount the hangers on the door. You do that all before the track is up. And then once it's up, you can screw the floor guide down to the floor. Now, one thing with installing the floor guide to the floor is since we send wood screws with it, it's typically easiest to put it into a wood floor. If you have a concrete floor or a tile floor, you may need to substitute some masonry anchors in order to install your floor guide, or epoxy or glue it down in some fashion or another. We really like mounting the floor guide to the floor. It's the most secure rather than mounting it to the wall or having one of those cantilever floor guides that come out. They tend to not be as sturdy as this floor guide. If you don't want to install a floor guide at all, that's up to you. It's just not as secure and the door bangs front to back. If you really want to keep it hanging plumb and you don't want to install a floor guide, sometimes you can put bumpers on the wall up against the baseboard where it hits that bumper, but it still can swing away from the wall. So those are just some tips and thoughts that you could take into consideration when installing your floor guide, and good luck, and thank you for watching.